Thank you so much, Anastasia. Really, just to continue where we left off, to remind viewers that we are still in conversation with the coordinator of safety and compliance for the National Taxi Alliance, Mam Fuzi Mahasane, who has been giving us an update on their monitoring and compliance of taxis and taxi drivers making the stretch from Durban all the way up here to Gauteng. And we continue with Mamfuzi. Mamfuzi, thank you so much. We interrupted you earlier and you were giving us an overview of what it entails to monitor the taxis that are coming through this toll gate.
What it entails is we get some challenges from the drivers and from the vehicle compliances, because now some of the taxis, they pass by without operating licenses. So now we have to understand why some of the taxis don't have the operating licenses, as it's because of the Department of Transport in Gauteng had to close for them to push up the overload that was with them. They only open up in the 1st of December, whereby the load shedding was in stage 6 ESCOM.
So that obviously added to the backlog that the taxi drivers, the long distance taxi drivers were experiencing.
Even to apply for a temporal permit, it was a stress, because when you get there, it's either it's load shedding or the networks are down. So now we have to tell or negotiate with the law enforcement about the challenges that the operators are faced with. Yeah. So we needed also to take stats of how many taxis that are passing by here without those, so that when we sit down, then we talk about that challenge with its mass. We even had a challenge of some of the taxis' roadworthiness. Some of them, they were not roadworthy, but then we had to talk to the traffic officers because of chipped windscreens. Those are the things that we should go down and sit down and talk about them, correct the mistakes that are there.
Yeah. Mamfuzi, it's so important for the taxi drivers, the taxi associations, as well as the passengers to know that the National Taxi Alliance is here bringing compliance officers. Are you only at the De Hoek Toll Plaza, or are you monitoring other major routes in and around the country?
We're monitoring all the national routes. There are others, as I speak, who are monitoring the N1 freeway. There are the others who are monitoring N4. When in the beginning we started at Kroonstad, we went to Vryburg, we went to Middelburg. We go all over as National Taxi Alliance. We're working together with Tita. Tita is showing us how to check on compliance, as this book that we are writing on. That we are writing the compliance, we're checking on. This book is the one that will give us the stats on how are we going to correct ourselves, because we wanted to take charge of our job.
Mamfuzi, speaking of statistics, let's talk a little bit about statistics. We do know that when it comes to the statistics that are coming out from national and from the traffic officials, we are seeing that the taxi drivers are involved in quite a large number of road infringements, accidents. What are you seeing in terms of the numbers coming in of accidents and the numbers of the cars, the taxi drivers, taxi cars themselves driving into the toll plazas?
This year there is a big improvement, because we don't see those drunken drivers, because everybody that we're stopping here with law enforcement so far, since the beginning of the festive season, we never even arrested or even thought of somebody coming with passengers drunk. But in the previous year we used to have the drunken drivers challenge. Coming to compliance with stop and rest after 2 hours of driving. That is what the taxi drivers are doing.
Mamfuzi, before I let you go, we spoke a little bit earlier about how important it is for your colleagues to see you guys front and center and how that helps in building trust and respect.
That is very important. We're inviting even others from other associations that it's important to come and monitor your job, take charge of your job. Let us all work together with law enforcement, because alone they cannot be able, because this job is too big. Last night only, from 4 o'clock, it was 200 kumbis per hour passing by here. We were overwhelmed by the taxis which were passing by here. We couldn't stop everyone.
All right, thank you so much. Mamfuzi Makasane from the National Taxi Alliance, just giving us an update about the number of taxis passing through the different toll gates, and reiterating and reinforcing how absolutely critical it is, not just for the transport authorities, but also for the taxi officials to be front and center, visible to passengers, to motorists, as well as to their fellow colleagues, the taxi drivers doing long distance driving. Nastasia.